2026 is not the year to explain yourself. It is the year to build yourself. Too many people spend their lives talking about what they are going to do, explaining their plans, defending their dreams, and seeking validation from people who are not walking their path. That noise drains energy, and energy is currency. If you waste it, you go broke mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. This year, focus on yourself. Most people want recognition before they deserve it. They want applause before the work is complete, validation before the discipline is built, and attention before transformation has even started. But self-mastery does not begin in front of an audience. It begins in isolation. It begins when no one is watching, no one is clapping, and no one knows what you're doing. That is where real power is formed. Self-mastery means learning how to control your thoughts before they control you. It means understanding your emotions instead of being ruled by them. It means waking up every day and choosing growth over comfort. That kind of development does not happen loudly. It happens quietly, through repetition, through failure, through correction, and through patience. The world celebrates results, but it rarely sees the preparation. It sees the finish line, not the miles run in the dark. If you chase recognition too early, you expose yourself before you are ready. You invite opinions before you have stability. You give people access to a version of you that is still under construction. An unfinished work does not need an audience. It needs focus. When you work in private, you remove pressure. You are no longer performing for approval, you are performing for progress. You stop comparing timelines and start respecting your own pace. You begin to understand that mastery is not about being better than others, but about being better than you were yesterday. Recognition is a byproduct, not a goal. When it becomes the goal, growth becomes shallow. You start choosing what looks good instead of what builds strength. But when self-mastery becomes the priority, recognition arrives naturally. And when it does, you are prepared to handle it. Private discipline builds public confidence. When you know you have put in the work, you do not need to announce yourself. You walk differently. You speak differently. You carry a quiet certainty that cannot be shaken by criticism or praise. That confidence is not loud, because it does not need to be. Self-mastery also teaches patience. You learn that progress takes time and that rushing the process only delays the outcome. You begin to respect consistency over intensity, understanding that small disciplined actions repeated daily will outperform occasional bursts of motivation. This mindset is educational because it trains you to think long-term in a short-term world. In private, you make mistakes without embarrassment. You fail without explanation. You learn without judgment. This is where real education happens. Not just in books or classrooms, but in self-reflection and correction. You analyze what worked, what didn't, and why. You adjust, you improve, you repeat. People who seek recognition early often burn out, because their identity becomes tied to approval. But those who master themselves first are grounded. They know who they are even when no one is watching. And when recognition eventually comes, it does not define them. It simply acknowledges what was already built. So choose the unseen work. Choose discipline over display. Choose preparation over performance. Because when your foundation is solid, you do not need to convince anyone of your value. Your presence will do that for you. Self-mastery before recognition is not about hiding. It is about building strength quietly, so that when the moment arrives, you don't just show up, you stand firm. Silence is not the absence of power, it is the presence of control. Most people think strength is loud, expressive, constantly visible. But real strength is measured by how well you can govern your words, your reactions, and your energy. Silence is a strategy because it protects what is being built before it is ready to be seen. When you speak too much, you leak intention. You expose plans to opinions that are not qualified to shape them. Every unnecessary explanation invites doubt, comparison, and distraction. Silence, on the other hand, creates a shield. It allows ideas to mature. It gives goals room to breathe. It keeps your focus intact in a world that profits from breaking it. Education teaches us that attention is a limited resource. Where attention goes, energy flows. Silence trains you to direct that energy inward towards skill development, discipline, and clarity. When you stop reacting to every comment, every criticism, every provocation, you reclaim mental space. And mental space is where strategy lives. Silence sharpens discipline because it forces you to rely on internal validation. You stop waiting for encouragement and start becoming your own accountability system. You learn to work without applause, to stay consistent without recognition, and to show up even when no one is watching. That is how mastery is formed, quietly, repetitively, and patiently. There is also wisdom in understanding timing. Not every thought deserves a voice. Not every plan needs an audience. Silence teaches discernment. It helps you recognize when speaking adds value and when it simply satisfies ego. In silence, you learn to listen, truly listen, to instructions, feedback, and reality itself. Listening is an educational skill, and silence is its foundation. Silence also disrupts emotional impulsivity. When people react instantly, they often react emotionally. Silence inserts a pause, and that pause is powerful. It allows logic to override impulse. It helps you choose responses instead of reactions. Over time, this builds emotional intelligence, the ability to remain steady under pressure and calm under provocation. That stability becomes an advantage in every area of life. Staying silent does not mean withdrawing from growth or avoiding communication. It means being intentional. It means speaking when it contributes, not when it distracts. It means understanding that arguments rarely build futures, but focused effort does. Silence saves you from unnecessary battles and preserves energy for meaningful work. In silence, you also observe more. You begin to notice patterns in people, systems, and even in yourself. You recognize what motivates others and what drains you. Observation is education without noise. It teaches you where to invest your time and where to withdraw it. Silence turns you into a student of life rather than a commentator on it. Most importantly, silence aligns you with long-term vision. Loudness often seeks immediate validation. Silence serves delayed results. When you commit to silence, you commit to patience. You accept that growth takes time and that results are earned, not announced. You learn to trust the process instead of rushing to prove it. By staying silent, you give your future a competitive advantage. While others are explaining, defending, and reacting, you are preparing, learning, and executing. When the results finally arrive, they arrive complete, undeniable, and self-explanatory. Silence is not retreat. Silence is positioning. Silence is preparation for impact. And when the time comes to speak, you won't need many words, because your work will already have said everything. Consistency over noise is the quiet discipline that separates potential from achievement. In a world that rewards visibility more than effort, it is easy to confuse movement with progress. People talk, post, announce, debate, and react, yet very little actually changes in their lives. Noise creates the illusion of action, but consistency creates results. Education begins when you understand that repetition, not recognition, is what builds mastery. Every meaningful skill you admire in others was shaped by unglamorous daily work. Not by motivation that comes and goes, but by routines that stay. The mind learns through repetition. The body adapts through repetition. Character is formed through repetition. When you show up every day, even on the days you feel tired, uncertain, or unmotivated, you are teaching yourself discipline. That discipline becomes a foundation you can rely on when emotions fail you. Noise, on the other hand, is seductive. It offers quick validation and instant feedback. Opinions flood in, comparisons creep in, and before long, your focus shifts from improvement to performance. You begin working for approval instead of progress. That is a dangerous trade. Education teaches us that deep learning happens in focused environments, not crowded ones. The same principle applies to personal growth. The quieter your environment, the deeper your concentration. The deeper your concentration, the stronger your consistency. Consistency is not about doing something extraordinary once. It is about doing something ordinary well, again and again. Reading 10 pages a day seems small, but over a year it becomes knowledge. Training for 30 minutes a day seems modest, but over months it becomes strength. Saving a small amount regularly may not feel impressive, but over time it becomes security. These are not exciting habits, but they are effective, and effectiveness beats excitement every time. Staying consistent also teaches patience. Results rarely arrive on your schedule. Growth often happens invisibly before it becomes visible. Seeds grow underground long before they break the surface. Many people quit too early because they mistake silence for failure. But silence is often a sign that work is being done beneath the surface. When you remain consistent without applause, you are developing resilience, the ability to continue without external reward. Noise demands reaction. Consistency demands commitment. Reaction keeps you busy. Commitment moves you forward. When you react to everything, you lose control of your time and energy. When you commit to a routine, you reclaim both. Education is not only about gaining information, it is about learning how to manage attention. Where your attention goes, your future follows. Consistency also builds trust with yourself. Every time you keep a promise you made to yourself, your confidence grows. Not the loud kind that needs validation, but the quiet kind that comes from knowing you can rely on your own word. That internal trust is powerful. It allows you to move through uncertainty without panic and through challenges without quitting. In 2026, choose consistency over commentary. Let your days be structured, not scattered. Let your habits be strong, not flashy. When the noise fades and distractions lose their grip, what remains is the work, and the work, done consistently, will always outperform the noise. Growth is an inside job. No one else can do it for you, and no one else can fully understand it while you're in the process. Real development does not start with applause, approval, or recognition. It starts the moment you decide to be honest with yourself. Honest about your weaknesses. Honest about your habits. Honest about the gap between where you are and where you want to be. That honesty is education. That honesty is power. Most people want change without self-examination. They want new results without new discipline. But growth doesn't respond to wishes. It responds to work. And that work happens internally long before it ever shows externally. Before the world sees improvement, you must first see discomfort. Before others notice confidence, you must face doubt alone. Before success becomes visible, failure must become instructional. When you focus inward, you stop blaming outward. You stop pointing at circumstances, people, or timing. You begin to ask better questions. What do I need to learn? What skill must I develop? What mindset must I release? That shift alone separates those who repeat years from those who grow through them. Inside growth is quiet. It's waking up early when no one is watching. It's choosing discipline over comfort. It's reading, practicing, failing, adjusting, and repeating. It's saying no to distractions that feel good now but cost you later. This is not glamorous work. It doesn't trend. It doesn't get celebrated immediately. But it compounds. And here's the truth many don't like to hear. If you don't grow internally, external success will expose you instead of elevate you. Money without maturity creates chaos. Influence without character creates collapse. Titles without wisdom create insecurity. That's why inside growth is not optional, it's foundational. In 2026, your priority should not be speed. It should be depth. Learn yourself deeply. Understand your emotional triggers. Master your reactions. Control your focus. Because when you can manage yourself, the world becomes easier to navigate. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop chasing and start choosing. Growth inside also teaches patience. You realize that becoming takes time. You learn to respect the process instead of rushing the outcome. And patience builds resilience. When setbacks come, and they will, you don't break. You adapt. You learn. You continue. The world celebrates results, but results are just symptoms. The cause is who you become in private. When you grow internally, your confidence becomes calm, not loud. Your presence becomes firm, not forced. You don't need to convince anyone. You simply show up differently. And one day, without announcement, people notice. They notice your discipline, your clarity, your consistency. They ask what changed, but they didn't see the quiet work. They didn't see the internal battles. They didn't see the self-education, the self-correction, the self-mastery. That's why growth must start inside. Because when it does, nothing external can take it from you. Trends shift, noise dies down, but inner growth stays. It carries you forward in every season. In 2026, invest where it matters most. Not in validation, but in development. Not in attention, but in alignment. Grow silently. Grow intentionally. And let the world meet you later, transformed. Let 2026 be the year you stop announcing and start executing. The year you stop proving and start preparing. The year you stop talking and start transforming. Focus on yourself. Stay silent, and let your growth make the noise.